guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is the most difficult ranking video I'm gonna do. I personally have like 5 palettes in front of me, 2 of them that I curated with the existing shadows that I have in my collection, and I duped the Beaute Poison Garden palette as well as Fantasy Cosmetica Harvest of Souls palette. You know, from last year I have been eyeing those 2 palettes just because of the color story, and I wanted to see if I do have those shades in my collection or not. And I pretty much feel 95% confident that the shades that I have curated with the shades that I already have in my collection are very, very close dupe. And I feel like it only makes sense to rank these in February ranking because I have 3 new palettes and 2 build your own palettes, but you will see as I speak and why I rank this in this position. And let me tell you, all these 5 palettes are very unique, extremely nicely curated. I absolutely love each and every one of them. All 5 of them can be #1 any day. It's that beautiful. It's just a matter of color preference, which one I've reached for maximum over the other. That's the only reason why am I ranking this right there. And plus, if you are curious about this eye look, it will be towards the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. But let's begin our February ranking. Okay, I seriously can feel so many people just jumping out at me. But on number 5, I'm still thinking so many times. On number 5, I have the Fleeting Life palette from Cheeryup makeup. This is the palette that I've used on my eyes, and I feel like if you are a cool tone color wearer, you would absolutely love it. I cannot even tell you how much I love this palette. This is an absolutely geniusly curated palette. I only feel like you can get like only very, very typical looks out of this palette. It'll either be a gray tone look or a mauve tone look. And I've already done like 2 videos before even this look using this palette, and you'll still feel like this palette is a predominantly like a gray leaning, mauve leaning palette, and that is exactly what you'll see on your eyes too. That's the only reason. But if you love this color story, do not even like doubt yourself twice, because the quality is amazing, absolutely amazing. I cannot recommend this enough. This has absolutely been like top of the rank palette, top of my shelf palette from the time it is landed in my collection. And I've used this so much, like in a month, if I'm using this palette like 4 to 5 times, that's saying a lot. I really, really love it. But again, I have to just rank something somewhere. That is why this is ranking on number 5. On number 4, oh my gosh. On number 4, I have the Dupe palette of Beaute Poison Garden palette. Now, I know this palette was like #1 palette for so many people. And I basically duped that palette in and just put it in this palette just so that it looks pretty close to what I have. Now, when you see Beaute palette, like this color story in general, I feel like I'm definitely wanting more lighter tone shimmers as well as lighter tone mattes, because I feel like this color story is pretty either mid-tone to very deep leaning color stories. So I just added another like line for matte shadows as well as like some lighter tone mattes and lighter tone shimmer shadows, and that can help blend the rest of the shade. But just ignore that. Talking this as a whole, I feel like I still always have to dip into another palette for those lighter tone shimmer shadows. And also this palette, I curated it just so that I see like how many times am I reaching out for it. 100% I would agree, it's a very unique palette, okay? This is a very unique color story, and I'm going to keep this palette like this and see how many more times am I using it. I've definitely created like more of like an orangey, like a warmer tone color story. I've also created like this mauve tone color story. I feel like, yes, this adds a lot to this palette, but I have not dipped into those blues, those royal blues in this palette. And I hardly dip into like the blacks with shimmer. This teal, I'm not that into it, but this comes in very handy with those other shades. So I'm going to keep playing with it, but I feel like for now, this on number 4 makes sense. I'm still gonna use it a lot more. If you wanna see how am I using this palette several other ways, if you have the original Bella Beauty Bar Poison Garden palette, if you want like some inspiration looks using my dupe palette, I can definitely do it. Do sound it down in the comment section below. I do have a code with Bella Beauty Bar. It's Smithy Sony to save you 10% off. Okay, the next palette. This is a palette actually that I forgot to rank in my January ranking. I don't know how I missed it, but this, I put it back in the shelf. That's how I missed it. But let me rank on number 3. I have Gourmande Girls Bitten palette. Now this is such a beautiful purpley, pinky, gray toned color story. This is a predominantly purple palette. You would get definitely purple leaning looks unless you're going for like 2 shadow looks, or like you want to not use those shades. Like if you just take this and this, that might create like off purple look, or maybe that green and this look, that can create an off purple look. But this is a predominantly purple palette. I personally love purples, and this quality of this eyeshadow palette is absolutely amazing. But again, you're restricted to a purple color story, with majority of a purple color story, I would say, for this palette. But with the quality, and keeping in mind that I love purples, I feel confident ranking this on number 3. I absolutely love this palette. I love the shade Euphoria. It is such a beautiful rose goldy shade that looks like wet on your eyes. I absolutely love this. And this shade Hysteria, this one, this marble shade, oh my gosh, the way it applies on my eyes, the way it shifts, the way the dimension of this shadow is absolutely outstanding. But for now, I'm going to rank this on number 3. I don't even know how I'm going to rank all these palettes, okay? On number 2, I have another dupe palette, and that is the Fantasy Cosmetica Harvest of Souls palette. I put it in the Crow palette, and a lot of people were had opinion about it. I'm really sorry if I hurt your feelings, but I did not throw the Crow palette away. It is there in an empty palette. I just wanted to curate that palette, and several shades of this palette are from Wicked Widow Beauty line, okay? Like this shade, this shade, this shade. This is from Crow palette itself. There's so many shades from the Wicked Widow Beauty line, but I felt like if I curated in a palette format, I would use it even more. Saying that, this on number 2 makes absolute sense for me, just because I feel like such a unique color story. I love this color story. Cannot recommend enough how much I love it. I've already done a look using this palette in a get ready with me style kind of a video. I'll link it in the icons above for you guys. Such a yummy color story. I cannot even tell you how much I love this color story so very much. But I also feel like I am 98% close to that color story, so it doesn't make sense for me to buy a 2024 palette if I'm not like reviewing it on my channel, if I do have these shades in my collection. I really love it. Again, this is more colorful leaning, and I don't wear as much colors on me on like a day-to-day basis. That's the only reason why this is ranking on number 2. But saying that, you can get so many 2 shadow looks, 3 shadow looks out of this palette, which is absolutely genius. Like these 2 shades together, this and this together, amazing. This and this together would be amazing. These 3 in this outer corner, that would be amazing. This would be amazing. These 2 would be amazing. These 3 would be amazing. This would be amazing. There are so many combinations, and I'm going to keep this palette in this format for a little bit, so that I can see like how many shades I'm using and how many looks am I getting with this palette. Again, if you want like a 3 shadow looks, if you want like a week using this dupe palette as well as that dupe palette, do let me know in the comment section below, so that I am aware that you really want to see inspirational looks out of your original palette, or if you do have these kind of shades in your collection. But that's all. I feel like because I'm not a colorful person, it makes sense for me to rank this on number 2. So now you might guess what is on number 1. Me being a boring person at heart, I love colorful tones, but I love muted tones. Predominantly a mauvey purpley look is my comfort zone. So keeping all of those things in mind, my number 1 palette is from Adept Cosmetics, and this is the new Minka palette. This palette is gorgeous, okay? Absolutely gorgeous. It gives me all the tingling feelings. I really like it, okay? Really like it. I definitely can get some neutral looks. The addition of that brown shadow is absolute genius. The mauve shade, stunning. The addition of that green pop is beautiful. This shade is not a shifty shade, but this on the eyes, it is absolutely breathtakingly stunning. You also know how I feel about that Linda shade. It is beautiful. There are so many shades and there can be so many looks that can be achieved with this palette. I've already done 2 or 3 looks using the Minka palette already on my channel. I'll link it in the icons above, but I'm also filming 3 palettes, 3 looks video also with this palette. So keep tuned with my channel. I feel like that is a way where I can showcase so many more looks, showcasing so many palettes that I have in my collection. But I felt it super appropriate to rank this on number 1. I do have a code with Adept Cosmetics as well as Gourmande Girls, and my code is Smithy Sony to save you 10% off. So do keep that in mind. Now, once you've seen all the rankings, let's move on to the eye look that I created using the Fleeting Life palette. Okay, let's begin with today's look using the Fleeting Life palette. I am actually going for a game and I'm wearing red, as you can see. So I feel I should go more like silvery route, but we'll see. I want to start off with this gray shade and I'm gonna take that not too high up in the crease, but also in the crease. So I'm going to basically stamp it right there, and we'll take a lighter tone matte to blend the edges. For cool tone looks, this palette is coming super handy. Now I'm going to dip into this top shade, which is more like a white, and I'm going to take that mainly in the crease as like a transitioning shade. So this would just help to blend that gray shade really nicely. Now for the outer corner, let's dip into this shade, this one. It's such a beautiful dark deep charcoaly gray shade. You definitely have a black here if you want to take it more deep, but I love to slowly build it up, and this shade is just perfect for that. I'm going to take the tip of the brush and then just blend the edges. This is such a beautiful brush. This is Shodo 00 brush from Refa. Now I'm taking this shade, same brush, just packing it on, and that will give a beautiful gradient. And I'm taking that same shade on the lower lash line too. Just taking the first shade that we applied, the gray shade, the mid-tone gray shade, this one, and I'm just taking that as a blending shade for everything out. Okay, so once we have that base all set, time for shimmers. I want to dip into this shade, this one, and I want to first start off with that and see. Oh, look at that. It's such a stunning shade. I love that shade so much. I'm just tapping it out just so that I get like the maximum sparkled effect. If I swipe it, it'll be super opaque, but this is how I really want that look to turn out. Now for the for meeting it with that extreme deeper shade, I'm gonna take this gray and I'm gonna just tap it right as we bridge that shimmer with that gray, and that'll be amazing. That's just a perfect bridging shade for these shades. Okay, so pretty and so effortless. I love it. Now for the inner corner, I'm going to take this silver shade. This is much more opaque than the shade that we applied on the lid. The lid one was more, it was like a gunmetal, but like a toppery gunmetal shade, and this is definitely much more opaque. I hope you can see that difference. Let me finish off this eye with some liner and mascara. And that's my final look. I really love the way how this turned out. I loved each and every palette that I spoke about today. I feel like they're very unique palettes in my collection. Again, I don't think if you'll go with the original, any one of these palettes, you would be disappointed. I totally feel like each and every one of them definitely has its own purpose in my collection or in the makeup industry. I really feel that. I love the way how this look turned out, but saying that, I feel like every one of them in this 5 palette ranking, all of them are top-notch quality. It can be number one for anyone, anytime. But this is just the ranking that I'm feeling today, okay? But that's all for today. If you did like my video, you know what to do. Do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And ring the notification bell so that you're notified every time that I post next. I generally upload 3 videos every single week. Every Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays at 9 AM Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.